Hey Netrunners, it's time for yet another in the series of Hidden Objective. I don't know about you, but I'm really enjoying making this series. It provides a very different challenge to your usual competitive Netrunner, and it's very refreshing, I have to admit. So if you enjoy it as much as me and want to keep it going, be sure to do some of these things that I'm listing on the screen. If you have your own hidden objectives you want me to attempt, leave in the comment section. Similarly, if you see a hidden objective that you really like, left commented by someone else, be sure to upvote it to raise my attention. And finally, try it yourself. Use my hot objectives after I release all these videos, make some decks of your own, and share with me your experiences. So, let's get down to today's hidden objective. Brought to you by Moto Kuchoma. Sorry to everyone else, but Moto seems to come up with some of the best ideas, and this one even has some backstory to it. I love the flavor. People have the wrong idea about corps. Corps shouldn't be wasting time wrestling with runners, they should be making profit, like your typical Mega Corp does. Play the corp side and get to at least 100 credits at one point. I love this challenge. It seems like most Netrunner players would have accomplished this at least once in their entire life playing Netrunner, but when you are forced to build a deck around it, can you make a very efficient deck? So I'm thinking between operation-based economy with the likes of cerebral imaging and recursion, or building a better world out of Wayland, or asset-based economy, which is now fueled by Museum of History. And then I decided, why not combine both? I'm going to play BW with operation-based economy and Museum of History. And my local film critic judged this as a difficulty rating of 2. It is actually not that difficult. As I said, I'm sure many players have racked up lots of credits, 50 over credits at some point in their lives, so building a deck that focuses solely on getting 100 credits shouldn't be too difficult. Now I know that this might seem like an uninteresting and uninteractive objective, but hear it from me. This is actually probably one of the most, if not the most exhilarating hidden objective I've ever done so far, so be sure to stay tuned to this. Now I quickly get a Museum of History going in the remote because I'm up against noise. I cannot afford to lose on noise mills, so if I can protect this Museum of History, I should basically be good to go for the rest of the game. And with the Grindle Refinery, you bet I'm going to be pretty rich. I can rest any ice. Now all I need to do is to find a couple ice, place our R&D and HQ, and I'm good to go. I can just total out for the rest of the game while slowly racking up the credits, and as you can see, dedication ceremony onto Grindle Refinery is my main mode of winning. My opponent steals a GFI, that's fine. He runs R&D last click and steals a government takeover. Well, that was fast. Let's try that again, this time against a slightly easier opponent, the Professor. I get a big money starting hand, so I don't mind that. It's not like he's gonna assault my HQ. He won't have Siphon, he won't have Legwork, I can be sure of that. So I pretty confidently play a whole bunch of restructures going up to 22 credits and possibly deterring him from running. In case he suspects a Punitive or Scorched Earth. Unfortunately he goes for a test run and it's not a Magnum Opus, it's a Keyhole. Ugh. And judging from last game, if he ever sees a government takeover from the Keyhole, I'm in a lot of trouble. We don't want that to happen. He kills 3 times before his Keyhole expires, goes back to the top of his stack, but not before he does some serious damage. Got rid of a Global Food and 2 ice, including a Hive. Hive is going to be huge. I hyper draw. I don't find the ice I need. I definitely need that R&D ice. But at least I can be consoled by the fact that he cannot Keyhole me next turn. He needs to draw his Keyhole, followed by paying the 4 credits to actually reinstall it. He doesn't have the money. Unless he runs modded, so the Keyhole comes again. Oh, this game is not looking good. Well, can I do it this time? That's ice, but that's not the kind of ice I need. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This game is looking like a complete flop, a complete disaster. Every single Keyhole run, I'm holding my breath, hoping that he doesn't find the government takeover. If he does, that's game. He already has 2 points. Nope, he finds the Atlas, still doesn't find the government takeover. Oh, does he find it this run? Does he find it? He has to suspect that my remote server might be a Jackson Howard. I'm very surprised he didn't actually go there to check. So he spends his last click keyholing again, which I think is a mistake. He really should be checking for the Howard. But no, he mills ice instead, and I finally find some ice to put on R&D. And a good Jackson Howard. That Jackson Howard will save my Atlas, so now I finally have a bit of time to stabilize. As long as he doesn't repeatedly hit my hand, I should be good. he can't possibly tell that there are 3 agendas in my hand. He needs to start setting up. He's pretty poor. Doing that early gambit only netted him 2 points, and that was mostly his fault. He should have checked for Jackson Howard. Anyway, the Grundle Refinery is still on the table. I'm waiting for a good opportunity to use it. I'm not in a rush to use it. I'm already on 32 credits. So right now, I'm just looking to stabilize. Get some ice on my centrals, and of course, respect Sneak Door Beta. That is definitely something that is on his watch list. If he gets a Sneak Door off, I'm basically going to lose the game. And with an SMC, you bet it's not that hard to get it. So he slowly clicks for credits, and I find another Bailiff. So double Bailiff on R&D and an Ice on Archives to protect against the inevitable Sneak Door. Double Bailiff is not that expensive for my opponent, but what I'm really trying to do here is to make sure that I get to my objective faster if he decides to keyhole me down. And he will need a couple of keyholes before he can successfully win the game. Now I'm gonna chuck a Global Food here because I suspect that he won't run Archives. And yeah, he basically spends his time getting lots of money. Because of the early gambit, he was forced to delay his Magnum Opus. Usually he would test run for Magnum Opus first, but he got really greedy and test ran the keyhole instead. Sure, he got 2 points, but is it worth it? I don't know. I tried to sneak out an Atlas here. Even though I'm trying to get to 100 credits, one very important thing to do is to get agendas out of circulation as far as possible. Because the more agendas there are in circulation, the easier it is for you to lose. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the Atlas out. My opponent stole it, but I'm going to punish him for that. So it's still win-win for me. I slap him with 11 tags. And surprisingly, he seems to be going for the tag removal route. So, in that case, I'm going to help myself to a free Atlas. Again, I'm going to try to remove as many agendas from circulation as possible, especially because this deck is very reliant on Museum of History. So, the fewer agendas there are in circulation, the longer the game can go on without my opponent winning, the higher the chances of me getting to 100 credits. So, again, Museum of History is the key linchpin of this deck. If I don't have Museum, the game will be over too quickly. I'll run out of cards from R&D before getting to 100 credits. So it's very important to have Museum of History, even though this is not an asset-based deck. Now, I find the dedication ceremony, so the Grundle Refinery goes, and he's still trying to clear the tags. He still has 3 tags, and he tries to go for the Museum here. Not gonna happen. He has no SMC, no clone chip, and way too few credits to trash my Museum, so I don't boost any traces, and he gives me 3 credits for free. Good stuff. Alright. Again, the Museum is very important, so as soon as I see the Archer in my hand, I know straight away that's going on the remote. I'm not gonna have him trash my Museum of History. And I see a commercialization. Commercialization is a transaction, so I do get my Wayland BABW credit for playing commercialization. All I need to do right now is to find a piece of advanceable ice in a good position. The only advanceable ice I have on the board right now is the Ice 1 Archives. And I probably don't want to be advancing an Archives ice against Professor. So I'm going to advance either an ice on R&D or HQ. It has to be HQ now because R&D is too far stacked with bailiffs. So I'm putting the firewall on HQ and I'm going to slowly advance it. So 3 commercializations in my deck. If I play them all and I get something like a 10 advanced firewall, I'll be rich enough to reach my goal. And yes, I'm starting to draw into my commercialization. So this is a very good time to begin advancing the crap out of my firewall. Okay. Another cool synergy is that advanceable ice synergizes with dedication ceremony as well. And I find my 3rd commercialization. I have no hand space left, so I immediately play the commercialization for 5 + 1 credits. As I was saying, dedication ceremony helps expedite the commercialization by a lot, but the ice needs to be face up, it needs to be res, so that's a bit of a problem. Meanwhile, my opponent tries to chew away at my Caduceus. With a Parasite, not a bad idea. He needs to respect the Museum of History. In the meantime, I'm making a secondary remote for my Grundle Refinery because hand space is getting really, really tight. In the meantime, he's giving me loads and loads of subliminal money, so I'm definitely getting really rich right now. Unfortunately, I haven't actually raised too many pieces of ice yet, so all this money could go in a quick flash. I need to keep in mind that reaching 100 credits is not that simple when I need to res ice as well. So now with double Museum, I can really afford to turtle the game. Just gonna slowly but surely advance the ice. Now I made a small mistake. I didn't realize that my single turn reclamation order is in the bin. I should be recycling it with the museums. But my opponent makes a bigger mistake. He runs into my archer, not expecting me to sack an Atlas for the archer. This is really bad news for my opponent, because the only solution he seems to have in the bin is an Artman. An Artman at 6 will cost him 9 credits to install, which leaves him with insufficient credits to get through and trash my museum. Unless he wants me to fire the entire archer, which is probably not what you want, considering that you're running Magna Opus. So my opponent is basically forced right here to blow his entire credit pool just to avoid the trash program subroutines. And this, basically he spent 9 credits on Artman and 2 credits on breaking 2 subroutines, and he gives me 2 credits in return. So that was a very, very punishing face check for my opponent. Whew. Archer for the win. That was a very late addition to my deck. I didn't put it in at first because I wasn't running lots of hostile takeovers, but in retrospect this is definitely worth it. Not to mention that it also turns on my hives once again. There is a hive on R&D, it only had 3 subroutines, but now it has 5. Thanks to sacking the Atlas. So here I'm going to reshuffle the Reclamation Order, and I definitely am intending to use Reclamation Order on the triple commercialization I have. Insane, huh? Yeah, if I find my Reclamation Order, I am more or less guaranteed to reach my goal, my hidden objective, because each Reclamation Order right now gives me 14 credits on that firewall on HQ. I res another firewall so that he can't get through my Museum of History there. That should give me some time to continue shuffling in all my Operation Economy. Again, when you reshuffle Operation Economy, you are reducing agenda density in your deck. When you score agendas, you are reducing agenda density in your deck, and all these help you win. So, I'm going to reshuffle more operations and I find a global food. And the government takeover. So this is where the ingenuity of advancing the HQ ice firewall comes into play. I knew from the start that the best strategy against Professor was to actually hoard agendas in hand. The Professor doesn't have legwork. He might run Nerf Agent, but are you really going to use Nerf Agent on HQ when there's a 14 advanced eyes on HQ? I didn't think so. So hoarding agendas in HQ and then letting him have relatively free access to R&D seems like a very good idea, especially when the agenda density in R&D is so low thanks to the museums. So I just keep drawing for agendas at this point. And I chuck the Grundle Refinery because I don't think I need it anymore. He goes to check my remote and I force him to trash the Grundle Refinery. This will slow him down just a bit. So yes, there are 22 agenda points in my deck. 7 of them have been scored or stolen or exiled, and there are 11 agenda points in HQ. So it's very difficult for my opponent to win on R&D. At this point, I found my Reclamation Order, so I'm reclaiming all my commercializations and I went up to 70 credits. So basically, I'm going to complete my objective next turn as long as he doesn't find an imp and run my hand. Instead, he goes for my museums. Pretty smart thing to do. You need to trash the museums. Slightly less smart thing to do would be to just hammer R&D. He wouldn't get much done that way. So he goes for my double remotes and trashes all my museums. Well, they did their job. That's perfect. Mission accomplished. I am going to win. Commercialize 102 credits in 24 turns. Done. What? You think you're done, son? We're not paying commission for you to advertise that crap. Seriously? Well then, I guess it's time to engage hardcore mode. The more astute viewers among you might have wondered, what's with the early mid-seasons? What's with the psychographics he's keeping in his hand for the entire game? Well, here it is. I'm doing a double whammy, a double objective. Both must be completed in the same game. 100 credits and then score government takeover in a single turn. This challenge is not for the faint of heart. Are you ready? Fingers crossed. Seatbelt is fastened. Let's go! We last left off with my opponent trashing both of my museums of history, and now he's going for my archives. Smart guy, he knew I was dumping agendas in archives. he found my Atlas. Oh! My dreams are shattered. As soon as I hit the halfway mark with my 100 credits, I'm destined to lose this challenge because I do not have the mid-seasons. If I cannot mid-season him next turn, I lose. But I find it! I top deck the mid-seasons, 1 in 20. I top deck it after the first draw. If I didn't, the game will be over because I cannot mid-season him for the rest of the game because he had 6 agenda points already. The next agenda he steals will win him the game. So wow, I managed to land the 56 tags on my opponent. It seems like I'm almost going to win this super difficult challenge, except that I'm not out of the woods just yet. I need to hold my breath for one more click because there is this card. It's called Clot and it messes everything up. He is Shaper, he has a clone chip. I rest the Hive, keep him out of R&D, but the Clot threat is still alive. I have to hope that he isn't willing to bring out the Clot at the expense of his programs. He is full on memory, he has to trash a Opus or a Keyhole or the Artman 6. Reactions. I put the Global Food in to bait him. If he brings out the Clot now, I will lose the game because he can get through the Archer. But I have to try to bait it out somehow. He doesn't run it. I now play the Government Takeover. Does he go for it? No. It is done! The deed is complete! Yes! Finally. Oh boy, you have no idea how long that took me to complete. I mean, I don't care. He can just keyhole through my 017 Hive from now on. I don't care at all. This double achievement took me 6 tries to complete. 5 different times earlier. Sometimes I managed to get 100 credits, but just not able to pull off that mid-seasons with the Government Takeover. Turns out that was harder than I thought. So many nerve-wracking moments over the course of the entire game that I just could have lost outright. That early keyhole could have gotten him the Government Takeover. He made so many kill runs early on, I didn't see any ice, I was flooded in HQ, he could have easily gotten my agendas. That mid-season's so huge that it appeared right on top of my deck when I just needed it. Whew. I'm completely exhausted. I'm sorry, I don't have the energy to actually do a deck review, but I'll put the deck list in the description. Poke me if I don't. And yes, my local film critic agrees that this was incredibly challenging and gave it a very well-deserved difficulty rating of 6. Till next time folks, thanks for watching, happy night running, goodbye.